Hey there, Jeff Manchester, Manchester Music. I was playing around the other day in my Bernard Herrmann composer toolkit thing, and I love the chords. I don't know if you know this, but it has a really cool articulation, which might be a first in the series in their offerings. Maybe not. Somebody will, I'm sure, will correct me. But I really love it. It sounds like this, by the way. So you just put one note, one finger down, and you sort of create a common chord. With the right amount of dynamics and control and expression and all that stuff, you can really bring this thing to life. And I really wish that Spitfire had included this sort of thing in libraries going forward. And then it just dawned on me that I can do this myself. I can create myself a kind of chord generator and simulator. I don't have to create it myself. It's already here in Logic. It's called Chord Trigger, and it's in the MIDI effects over here. I'm sure in whatever digital audio workstation that you have something like this. I know Ableton has some, I think it's just called Chord or something in the MIDI effects. I'm sure Studio One and Reaper have stuff. I'm sure that, what else? I'm sure Reason has something, but this is what Logic's looks like. Super dumbed down, very simple to use and understand. You have the input, which is the trigger key, so this shows you which keys are available to trigger chords, and then the output will show you the sort of chord formation. So again, really easy to understand. If I just hold down my C, you'll hear some stuff. I'm using the minor 7/9 chord structure, which I love. So it's just beautiful, and I want to show you how you can really bring these sample libraries to life in a super easy, simple way. So what I've done for that sound is I've got, again, my chord trigger set to a preset. Over here you can just go to single, extended harmonies, find whichever structure that you really like, or that complements whatever you're working on. It just sounds really good, and this one sounds good. I've got two new things from Spitfire here, the Olafur Arnold Chamber Evolutions, and I have the tremolo set up here. I'm going to turn the chord generator off so you can hear what this sounds like before it goes through any sort of chord simulation. It sounds like this. Super long tremolo articulation, not super long, but this is kind of what Olafur Arnold's known for, these big crescendos, big sort of Chinooks, Canadians will get that one, of sort of sweeping sounds rising and then falling and decaying. So it sounds like this without any chords. Which is very beautiful. I did play a chord, but that's what it sounds like. And I should note that we have the close mics engaged and the Decca tree mics, but the close mic is at the top. I want this to be sort of the focus of this pass, who knows, who cares. The next thing I have here is the chamber grid, which also came with the Chamber Evolutions thing, and they're both MIDI channel A1. That means that when I press my keys here, I'm talking to both chamber grid and chamber waves, so that's kind of important. So see that A1, A1? Anyway, so if I solo this guy over here, this is what this sounds like. I'm using a subtle Evo, by the way. These pegs are hanging out inside of the subtle sort of, loops that they made for this library. So it sounds like this on its own, without the chord generator. So that's pretty cool. But when we turn the chord generator on, and we're in major 7/9 chord structures, I can use my dynamics, the dynamics fader here, which is controlled by the mod wheel, and we get some really beautiful, impressive results, in my opinion. I'll show you what I'm doing after I play a little bit for you here. So I'm just going to improvise and show you how these, this chord triggering thing can really bring to life whatever tracks you're working on. So. So it kind of has this kind of old-fashioned feel, a little bit like movies from like the 50s and 60s. I'm not really sure if I'm describing it well, but what I'm doing is I'm basically just like playing a chord by triggering one note, which talks to these two guys here with the chord trigger thing on. And then as soon as my chamber waves has reached the sort of apex, the climax of that articulation starts to go down, that's when I get ready to move. And I should show you here on the chamber grid, we have this at a lower volume, and this is intentional, obviously. I don't want the grid to sort of swamp out the chamber waves articulations that are going up and down. I want them to kind of be in the background, but I don't want to do any automating. So I found that by making this, you know, leaving this at the kind of unity gain 0 dB, or not really 0 dB, but whatever its default is here, I can bring the chamber grid down. And so what I do is I play my note, and when my chamber waves reaches the top, that's when I get ready to move to another chord. So I wait for the thing to go to the top, I wait to hear the chamber grid start to come in the background, and then I move to another chord. And I find like this leaves, it gives a really seamless motion to those two sections. So I'll go from C to F, you'll see what I mean. So I'll play C. We'll wait for the chamber waves to peak and come back down. So it's peaked, and now we're just hearing chamber grid, and then I'm ready to move to my other chord, keeping my finger on C. Let go of C. Now we're just on F. Maybe I'll go down a whole octave. Let go of the top F. Let it settle. Now we just hear the evos, same thing. So we'll go to a whole other chord. Always making sure that we keep our finger on the dynamics slider right here to give this this music some life. So now just evos. To me, it just sounds like we're commanding this whole orchestra right from our fingertips with the chord trigger function. And I think that if you get your mic positions right, you get your dynamics right, the modulation there, you can just sort of compose in a much bigger, sort of bigger picture way by using this system than by using just basic, you know, 1-2 fingers or whatever. And I really think that, you know, using a chord simulator like this is not cheating. It's like more power to you. I don't want to have to memorize my chords and worry about where my fingers are. I want the machine to do the sort of math, and I just want to focus on being creative and, you know, just sort of emotionally guiding myself through my life. No, I'm mostly guiding myself through whatever I'm working on. I find this is a great way to do that. So I'm just going to keep playing stuff, and then we'll fade the video out. Thank you so much for watching.